What a beautiful morning. The breeze is coming off the cove. Both Paul and I have been for a good swim over the reef. And the sun is shining. What can aileth us?
What indeed?
On this beautiful Caribbean island, in this beautiful shady dappled spot.
Yes, we're very lucky.
It's really good, it's really good. Where are we going to start? Can we start with the Chinese? I prefer them. If I were Jamaican, I prefer their sort of colonisation to the British. Because the British came and it was a big package deal with the British.
Yeah.
You had to take all their goods, to do business with them, almost the same with Chinese.
Yeah.
And they did some infrastructure, but not a great deal. But you also had to take their food and their religion and their language. That was the deal. You had to have all three, and their law, really. Where's the Chinese come?
The full iron sausage,
The
basically.
full iron sausage. The Chinese, it's like you have little idea that they're here actually, that they have such control over this country. But they do, and they have built this truly incredible motorway. Paul's not actually seen it yet, but I've seen it. And the first time I saw it, I was awestruck at the immensity of the power that could build a bit of engineering that's that impressive. Right across the island, smash the tops of one little mountain, one mountain after another, filled gullies, filled valleys. Nothing stops this 6-lane highway. Really beautiful 6-lane highway, really well drained, really well built, and it links Ocherias up with Kingston, and it is an amazing achievement, quite beyond anything that the British could do, or I think the Americans. And the Chinese just came in. They worked through all the weathers. You know, it is well established fact that in Jamaica, when it starts raining, you do not work outside. It's God's way of saying, kick back, have a spliff, see what happens. And nobody says to a Jamaican, get outside and work. Really, do they? Have you seen that? No.
Well, when it rains, it's pretty fierce.
It's very fierce.
The other day, it was a proper fucking deluge.
Absolutely hammers down, Paul.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly difficult to work in it. If you're wearing conventional clothes, you're completely soaked within, 5 seconds?
Yeah, and you probably
seconds?
wouldn't be able to walk around because of the weight of it.
Yeah, it's really, really, it's like having a bucket of water poured. The Chinese had their men out working in that, digging holes, digging ditches, running JCBs. Really incredible achievement. It did bring to mind, some of the, they're very hard working, and then the matter of having to pay for the motorway arose. And the idea was that the Chinese were given the right to raise a toll on it.
I don't suppose they were willing to take Ganja.
God, that would have been a good exchange. They must have tried.
They did.
And what else?
And a couple of bags of Blue Mountain coffee.
That is the slightly sad thing about Jamaica, is that the things that they have in abundance, sugar and ganja, one is illegal and the other is rapidly going out of fashion.
Well, the other one's being made everywhere now because it's coming into fashion, so the ganja that they were producing is a lot less remarkable, isn't it? Because they're growing it everywhere.
Paul, because I'm thinking we're in the kind of Burgandy of ganja growing. The ganja growing world. So I'm hoping that just because you can get cheap red wine all over the world, or like that you can get cheap red wine all over the world, still everyone who knows anything about it would rather pay 30 quid for a bottle of good Nuit Saint-Georges, because it's just such a superior experience. But do you think that's true?
Well, I mean, I like wine, so I tend to pay a bit more for it. But
But it hasn't undercut the French wines. The fact that everyone's growing it everywhere.
But I was reading about that horrible barefoot stuff that you see everywhere now, all over the fucking world.
What?
And there's this wine called Barefoot wine or something. Is it called Barefoot? I think it's called Barefoot.
I've not come across
It's
it.
fucking horrible. And there's another one, and it's these people who came from Australia and went to California. They've completely cornered the market in wine.
Well, they haven't cornered.
Well, they have in terms of the volume that they're shipping, guy.
Right.
It's fucking unbelievable.
And
millions of litres of it.
They're blending a kind of
anything they can get their hands on.
Sort of slightly drinkable red wine and.
It's not even that. It's swill, but people buy it because it's everywhere. It's maximum market penetration. The Chinese did the same thing, by the way, in Sri Lanka. They built a huge highway down the middle of the island, and then basically took some large chunks of the countryside in return.
Yeah. In Jamaica, they've had to get in this place called Goat Island, which is just off Kingston, which the Chinese are going to turn into a container port and make it the biggest container point in the Western Hemisphere, whatever the Western Hemisphere is. Where does the Western Hemisphere start? I don't know. Anyway, a really big container port, and I don't expect it will be very good for the freshness of the seawater.
For the wildlife.
Yeah, or for the wildlife.
Yeah.
But there you are, that's the Chinese. And they've also taken a chunk of land in the middle, which I think they're going to build a village on.
Mm.
But one of the nice things is that you don't see them swaggering around like you would have seen the British. Can you imagine when the British colonised here, how they would have swaggered around? You know what I mean? And belittled people.
Yeah.
The Chinese are very discreet in their empire building, really discreet. And I quite like them for that. They let the Jamaicans be the Jamaicans.
Yeah, I was keen. I am still a keen follower, actually, of certain aspects of Chinese philosophy. I'm a big fan of the I Ching, Book of Changes, and I do often consult it at times of change, great change, a bit like this one, and I really love it. Actually, it's one of the world's oldest written books. It's perfectly constructed. The Oracle, they call it. But I've talked to a number of Chinese people about it, and they don't know what the fuck it is, because Mao kind of erased it, really. I expect it's coming back now. I bet you in the middle classes, I bet they're starting to rediscover it.
Like English muffins.
English muffins?
Which is like a thing you get in America that no English person has ever seen, tasted or heard of.
It's a crumpet.
No, it's not an English muffin. Have you not been to New York and had an English muffin?
No, why would I have that? I'm in New York. I'm not going to have anything with
it's
it.
Like
It's prefaced by
for
English.
the Chinese. It's like it's really famous outside.
It's
England.
not I Ching.
Similar.
Guy, you can't predict the future with an English muffin. And you can't get wise counsel from one either.
I think you're ridiculing me, but I think you take
No, I think you're ridiculing the I Ching, and I don't like it, by comparing it with a fucking English muffin.
So hold on, let me just talk about
The I Ching was written 5,000 years ago. It's not an English muffin, you moron.
All right.
Guy, don't look at me. Look at the glee on your face.
I know.
Do you know what
you have opened up a Pandora's box of fun for me now.
All right, here we go.
Ching, I seem to remember, is a kind of book of advice, and then you roll the dice, and then you
No.
Okay,
It's a book of 64 hexagrams, each one composed of 2 trigrams of 6 lines, which are built from the bottom up, and they're either a broken line, a solid line, or a moving line, or a non-moving line of the same kind. And the way it's built is so beautiful, and it starts off with number 1, which is Chen, the creative, and it ends up at 64. Can't remember what 64 is, but number 2 is so you've got the creative and the receptive in the first 2 hexagrams. So the first thing it does is it establishes the principles of yin and yang, and then it spreads out from there into this beautiful pattern. They're like lessons, but they're also like philosophical treatises, in really small ones, and they form a pattern. And it's kind of like a mirror to your life. And if you do it properly and you're interested in it, we'll do it. I'll do one when we finish recording.
Have you got the book here?
No, I've got it on my phone.
Oh right.
You can get it on. You get an app now.
And you could give me some good advice from it.
I can't guarantee that, guy. I'm not sure even the I Ching could help you with that.
Right.
We can try though. Come on, you've opened some Pandora's box. You said.
Yeah, because
you were dying to take the piss out of me, aren't you?
No, I'm not, Paul. And I want to put something on record, actually.
Yeah.
Which is, I want to say how much I love you, and when a friend, and what friends are, I do a fair amount of teasing that I.
This is not making the fucking cut, by the way.
That I grant, but I love you very much, and I think you're a considerable man. And a considerable friend, and it's really good to be doing this pod with you. And I know both of us go through difficult times, and it's a time of difficult time. It's at the time of difficulties that I want to be the kind of friend who comes in and helps you. Doesn't make it worse with cheap mechanics.
Having said that,
I know that is slightly my weakness.
Having said that,
I warrant that I have.
Having said that, guy, just get the fuck on with it, will you? No one's buying this.
No, I
know. Come on.
The pod is a lot about friendship, Paul.
Yes, I know.
And it wants you that I have learned about friendship from you.
Oh.
And that it can develop and it can deepen, and one can be there for the other at a tricky time. And I know that times are sometimes tricky for you. And I am solid.
Yes.
No problem.
Well, times.
Ask me something. Ask me to do something for you.
Times are tricky, actually. I think I've begun to learn that times are at the trickiest when things are going well. Because what's actually happening when things are going well is you're digging these enormous holes that you're going to fall into as soon as the wind changes. That's the way it seems to be for me, at least historically. you know, is that I've set in store some terrible things for myself during good times, because I've been too busy enjoying them to understand what the future might bring.
Right.
Whereas in trying times,
I think more like in good times, you just take your foot right off the gas pedal. You even forget the gas pedal. You just have a good time, and then suddenly you turn around and the thing's ground to a halt, stalled, gone
all
off the
collapsed
road,
into a heap.
Yeah. And you say, hold on, I need to just get my foot back on the gas pedal a bit.
Maybe. Anyway, I'm just saying that in good times, it's too easy to take your eye off the ball, that's for sure, and end up on a completely different pitch.
Yeah.
In a different game, even.
In a different game, yeah. Backed into a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and it's terrifying, you know, because good times ought to be just that, oughtn't they? But I think as you get older, you realise that that's really when you have to kind of
Was
have
it you who told me the story of you know, in the West End, London's West End, where in Theatreland, on a really hot night, they sometimes open up the back of the theatres to get a draft through. Have you seen that?
No, yes, I have seen it. Yeah, when I lived in Covent Garden.
Yes, you walk out of Jay Sheiky sometimes.
Yes.
That one is open.
Yeah.
You can almost see right onto the stage.
Yeah, and the back of the Empire was always open on a hot night.
On a hot night, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone told me about, someone went out for something. I don't know if it was for a packet of cigarettes or he was in Soho. He'd left the bar, left the club, or she had, and they wandered accidentally onto the stage of a musical.
That's really funny.
Because it's like really easy to, and they just went past. I don't know. It wasn't you who told me that story.
No, it wasn't me. No.
They knew the name of. They knew the particulars. It was great.
Funny.
Yeah, that's what it's like. You can wander accidentally into a musical.
Well, that's life, isn't
It's
it?
a mistake. Yeah, be careful. Don't do it at home.
Yes. I like a musical though. I love a musical.
Right, I hate them.
No, well, I've got to make you watch Sweet Charity because I think you're going to be very surprised by that.
Well, you have to use chains and that device in Clockwork Orange where they keep them.
Keep your eyes open. No! No! The minute you walked in the joint, boom, boom, I could see you were a man of distinct. Ah! No!
Is that one of the songs?
It is, yeah.
Sweet Charity.
It's fantastic, Sweet Charity. It's the exception that proves the rule, Guy. I'm sure you'll agree when you watch it. It's fabulously entertaining, and certainly the best movie anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to make you watch it, Guy. I'm sorry to say.
I don't mind Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain.
Is that the one where they have to
Gene
make the
Kelly.
show? They have to make the show up. No,
Yeah.
what's the one where they have to make the show up with Doris Day, very young Doris Day?
Oh, that isn't that paint? No, that's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. No, Oklahoma. They're cowboys.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, with the stupid singing. Yeah.
Annie, get your gun.
That's okay. Annie.
I don't like that.
What's she called?
I don't like
No, what
that
about Calamity Jane?
Calamity Jane. It was so shit.
Clam.
So rubbish.
Hey, Clam.
It was so rubbish, that.
I love Calamity Jane.
Oh, you're joking. You see, now it turns out you love musicals.
Clam. What do they call her? Clam.
Yeah, they call her Clam.
Clam.
It's ridiculous.
You shooting.
I prefer Paint Your Wagon if we're going to have a cowboy musical.
Okay.
I was born.
Now you see Lee Marvin in that, and in a way, with our clothes off around here, with my young nephew Edward with him, wearing swing trunks, I noticed the difference in my body and in his. Obviously, I'm 61 and he's 24. But even when I was 24, I did not have like a developed torso and biceps like his. And you know, Ed, who's my nephew, I love him very much. He's been staying with me for a week or two. He left the house and went out for a little explore on the beach. Now he's 24 years old. I thought it was quite plucky. I liked his style. But you know what he did? You know what he did, Paul, when he went there?
What?
He went to the gym in a hotel.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah, he went to the gym in a hotel. And I did think that's a kind of generational thing, isn't it? Because I don't think I would have gone to the gym. Would you, Paul?
No.
What was I, 24? About 1983, 84. I would have headed somewhere else.
I've never been to a gym in my life.
Exactly.
Not
And I
once.
feel that I'm almost a generation older than you, but yours is like the last generation in which a man didn't have to really sort of, in order to be attractive, acceptable, to fit in, didn't have to kind of work on his body.
Look ripped.
Well, like Ed looks ripped, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
In my generation, Ed would have been a manual worker. There's no other excuse for it, or gay. There's no other excuse to look like that.
Exactly.
Am I right?
I know it's true.
Exactly.
Mind you, in any day.
Did you have any friends who looked like Ed?
Two gentlemen of a certain age discussing musicals and the richness of a young man's body, Guy. I wouldn't like to say what that might mean.
Signifies.
Guy, are you actually blushing a little bit?
No, I am not blushing.
No, Guy,
We're having a proper conversation.
We are, yes.
For
once.
And we never had to buff ourselves up, or rather, it was considered. Let's face it, muscles on a man was considered a sign of lack of education and ignorance.
Slightly weak.
Yeah, something wrong with him.
Bodybuilders, they were called.
And somehow the patriarchy.
Bodybuilders.
Bodybuilders, what they were called exactly.
They built their bodies
without any mind at all. They had no mind at all.
Building their bodies.
And it's a sign of how effective the patriarchy was. How men had managed to mesmerise themselves and the world, and I suspect women to some extent, that that muscles and a good torso was a sign of extreme unattraction. One needs a large belly.
No, look at my belly. Look how attractive. Look
pendulous bosom.
Watch it quiver.
That's what you're looking for in a man. It's pendulous bosom.
And this brandishes gold card.
Right, right. But I'm afraid that we somehow, and women very rarely said to me, that guy's hot. They said he's handsome, or he dresses well.
Yes.
Going back to the 70s and 80s.
Women never leched over men.
I'm sure that, whoa, pull up.
Not over their bodies.
Pull up.
Not over their bodies.
Wheel up. What do you mean? Women may not have told you, Paul, but they probably were, because women tend to fancy
Is that why they kept
men.
Squeezing my bum and everything like that? Yeah. And touching me up and everything.
Because women, when they were given the choice, tended to fancy hot men. Surprise, surprise.
Did they?
Yeah, but we didn't give them the choice.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I had a little washboard stomach and muscles when I was a little about Ed's
You
age.
didn't
Maybe
look like Ed.
I did a little bit. Well, actually, it was.
But have you seen Ed working out? He was.
No, I
working
don't do
out
it. But I was in the softball team.
Isn't that a
Well,
girl's
why
sport?
do you think I played it, Guy? Because there were only boys in the hardball team. Think about it.
Okay. Normally, one likes to challenge oneself with sport.
Guy,
Not
there were
take
girls
the
playing.
easiest option. when the ball was pitched up at you, did you just used to run away?
Guy, there were girls playing as well. Hello.
All right.
Think
all right.
about it.
Yeah. All right. I understand.
Who are you
what
gonna
you're
meet?
saying. How stupid do you think I am?
Well, I don't know. Why did you say such a stupid thing then?
Anyway, so let's go back to your washboard
Guy.
stomach.
Yeah, I had a little washboard stomach. I used to cycle everywhere at high speed on my mountain bike, and I used to play softball twice a week.
Right.
And I was really fit.
Do you ever think about getting fit again? Not that, of course, you don't cut a very fine profile.
I am relatively fit now. I'm not unfit.
No.
I'm about
How fit are you?
fit as fuck. It's fitness is in the eye of the beholder, guys. We've already discussed.
Yeah, that's exactly what we thought.
No, the mind is
Until Ed's
the mind is
generation
a
got
powerful.
Ed's generation, all of my nephews, my son a little bit less so, but actually my son too is interested in getting himself, whatever it is, buffed up.
Buffed up.
Is it buffed up?
Well, I refuse to do it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, right.
I'm not doing it. What's the point?
Right. Do you judge women at all by their bodies?
Only relatively.
Quite a lot.
Relatively.
Only totally.
only relatively sometimes.
Right.
No, I don't judge them.
Seems a bit odd.
I don't judge them. Look,
You're in such a corner. It's
I don't
great.
know. No, you're in a bit of a corner
Listener,
too.
Enjoy this. No, I'm not at all. I've
Guy.
been frank and open with the
So,
listener.
what about what about a lady of ample proportion?
Well, I think that 20. No, it's good to talk about this, and we're in the right place to talk about
Yeah,
this.
Jamaican
Because
men
Jamaica, when I first came here in the
larger
80s,
ladies.
definitely it was a sign of sexual kind of attraction. Is that right? What I'm looking for? Sexy.
Oh, sexy.
If you were chubby and way beyond the tubbiness that I, coming from Britain, in that culture would have thought was attractive, in itself. I know we're talking it's rather difficult to talk about this, but let's take it head on. I came here, bumper body. That would be a phrase. Bumper body rider. Yeah, now, big ass.
Body rider
big is a document. Is not document. It's a garment. Sorry. And anyway,
Guy, what are you on about?
Just listen to me.
I'm trying to make sense of the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Close your mouth and listen to me.
Will you please speak sense?
I am speaking sense.
Not botty, botty.
Shut up. Anyway,
Diddly-da.
as the rest of the as basically nourishment.
Can we wheel up and
calories,
just say that again? Because I didn't understand a fucking word of it.
I'm saying when I came here, being fat was a sign of prosperity.
Right, okay.
Okay, and it was considered
sexy, yeah.
Then suddenly, junk food came, TV came, cars came, public transport arrived, and loads more people have got chubby.
Yeah.
I mean, almost everyone is chubby now, in the way that almost everyone was very slim before,
Yeah.
and they still seem to really like it. It's not that they now found slim women attractive. I don't think they do. No, I've never heard any of the women say, I'm trying to lose some weight. They've just gone with it, the Jamaicans. And the men have gone with it too. What do you think?
What about that? Well, I don't know. It's like you say, it's down to survival in some ways, isn't it? We don't have the same criteria in England because we have this... we have an idea of abstract, don't we, in terms of beauty. So you've got like works of art, and we put forward certain models and people who are said to represent the ideal in our society, and everybody looks towards that. For example, I guess
it's true that. Well, I was driving down the road yesterday, and I saw a woman with a big kind of frizzy afro, sort of not quite afro, but sort of curly, kinky hair, and she had tight leggings on. She was quite chubby, and a bright red tight tank top on, and she was trying to hitch a ride. And I thought, what is her ideal? Who is she copying? It's exactly what went through my head. I thought, who is she copying? I wonder if she's got a picture of someone who she wants to look like, the way you kind of detect it with most young white girls. Definitely with my daughter when she was young, you felt she wanted to look like a pop star or look like an actress. And I thought, I wonder who she's copying. And then I drew the conclusion that in Jamaica they tend to go off-piste rather more easily and cut out their own style and not really they follow fashion. They don't really follow fashion so much, which is why when you can get a group of 8 boys together in Jamaica, or 8 girls, eight anyone, and they all dressed totally different at all gatherings.
I've noticed that the girls don't have any. They all do look different.
Yeah,
they're really individual about the way they
and-
present themselves, which is quite punk rock.
Okay.
That is the ethos of punk rock.
You were all in a uniform.
No. You're talking about the crappy plastic punks that came after.
No,
in the beginning, Guy,
They were all wearing black and Malcolm McLaren stuff.
No, Guy, this is some weird Kings Road version. It's not what happened.
Right.
We had no money, and we had to find a way of looking individual and strong that represented ourselves. So the original punks had long hair, short hair. They wore old jackets. They wore things from thrift shops. They wore all kinds of different things. There was no uniform, and that's why chains, safety pins, chewing gum, all kinds of things were pressed into service. Bad stitching, because you were trying to make something out of nothing, really.
Right. Well, it may be
Youth culture.
It's more like here they're all trying to stand out. Another thing that was pointed out to me quite recently was their refreshing lack of celebrity culture. They don't know the names of any celebrities.
No.
They don't know who Beyonce. They might know who Beyonce.
Yeah,
and
but they know
Jay-Z
who
is.
Buju is, and they know
Buju Banton, yeah, because he's a
and
performer.
Vybz Kartel.
He's a performer. He makes
Oh, you mean
music.
pure celebrity?
Yeah. They're not
Yeah,
interested
yeah,
in just
yeah, yeah.
photographs of wankers, the way that us white people are, and who somehow for some stupid reason they've got to follow.
But it's because data's so expensive here.
It could be that, but we had celebrity before data. We had, there are ways of getting TV. There's ways of getting it. There are ways of getting those.
They don't
images
really
to
watch
them.
TV as much as we do either.
Yeah, they watch a bit actually. But anyhow, I thought the reason was, and I don't think the data will change it. They're all on Facebook. I got loads of Jamaican friends on Facebook. Is that they all kind of think that they are their own celebrity. They all act a bit like they're famous.
Again, that's very punk rock.
And when you think of celebrity, what they got, they've achieved absolutely nothing to be celebrities. So you might as well just choose to be one. And I suspect most celebrities did act like they were celebrities before they were celebrities.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of it is about wealth now as well. Your Kardashians and everything, they're all very wealthy.
Yeah.
People looked up to them.
The Jamaican
because they're
celebrity is
rich.
not necessarily rich, is he? he or she is just really well known in their small community and celebrated
Yes.
for their fame. And almost everyone's got something to be famous for. It's really nice, and they really enjoy other people's fame. Yeah, like my nephew spearing this barracuda on his first day fishing. It's amazing fluke. But he's now known around the village as Shooterman.
Shooterman.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
Telling his story, telling his legend. That's what they do. They tell us.
Yeah, it even reached Green Island when we went the other day, hadn't it? And it was like it's 3 miles down the road.
Oh yeah.
His fame had spread down there.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Quite funny.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
I wonder what they know you for around here.
Oh God. White man. White.
Ken away! That's what they shout after
They
you.
shout Ken away.
Ken away! No, what the guy said the other day was, guy wrote this thing about the scammers here and he nearly got into a bit of trouble. But then
For
apparently...
the Spectator magazine.
And they let him off by saying, Guy, him humorous.
Scammers.
Yes, I like that story you told me about fashion again, where you told me about the scammer who was gay and had white skin, and so he had to put loads of cream on himself, didn't he? And to protect his skin from the sun, and he had big sunglasses on, and then he tied a bandana around his head to keep the sun off his head, and as a result, all the kids started copying him, and
Yeah.
he was actually a gay guy who was allergic to sunlight.
Yeah. Well, the scamming seems to. I was told that it was started by a Nigerian. It kind of makes sense because they were the first scammers, weren't they, on the internet?
Yeah.
Do you remember that we got those emails?
Yeah, my
very
name is
early
Prince.
ones? Yeah,
something or
those
other.
very early ones. And he pitched up in Jamaica and tried to make a legit call centre. This is what I was told. I don't know how true it is. Actually, National Geographic just got in touch with me saying they wanted to interview me on this subject, and I decided not to do it because it is very sensitive, the criminal activities of the Jamaicans, and I would not like to
Wind up shot,
yeah.
basically.
And I have some plans, so I'm not really which do not include being killed.
Yes.
So, but anyway, he started this legit call centre. I think I put this in the Spectator feed. And what happened was that he was buying really shite debt off American utility and sort of retail companies. So if you were like a real deadbeat and you had bought something on HP and you hadn't made any of the payments, he had bought it for nothing. So say you owed $100, he had probably bought it for $1 because you were, obviously were very
Never
difficult to
gonna
get to
pay
pay up. And he trained these people to ring them up and threaten them and say you've got to pay, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. And the Jamaicans took quite naturally to the work. They were keen on it, and they were very good at it. And the call centre did quite. Have I told you this, Paul?
Carry on.
And the call centre did quite well. Then what happened is that was that accident. I heard that. I don't know who told me this. It's so good if it's true. Even if it's not true, it's quite good. That they dialed the wrong number, and they rang up and got a woman on it and said, "You owe £120 for a utility bill from 2 years ago, and we're going to cut off your electricity, and we're going to come around and serve a notice on you, and if necessary, we'll find you in church and serve the notice on you there, bailiff." All the kind of things that they say. A man's going to come round any hour, be ready any hour of the day, unless you pay. Okay, you owe us 110. Unless you pay us for 50 right now, I can just stop the whole debt collection operation. And, the woman paid 50. And later, they realised that the woman wasn't even on the list of people who owed money, and that he had got the money off a complete stranger. And from that moment on, the business just exploded because they worked out that you didn't need a debt to collect it. You could just ring up and just lie to them, and they were stupid enough that they would
Just
pay
using
up.
the innate guilt.
Yeah, and then they're sort of their innate brilliance at creating narratives as to somehow to draw these people in to get involved in paying them large sums of money. And it was a glorious era. It's closed now, the era, because the CIA, the FBI, and the Jamaican government have really put the dampeners on it. And at the beginning, it was like the Klondike. I mean, I went through something, or was rather on the edge of something that must have been like the Klondike, because there was so much money coming down this coast
Mm.
from Americans in a panic or out of greed, sending down huge sums of money to these very clever scammers. And that guy, so we're going back to it, that guy was Nigerian who taught them how to do it. And he was also, I heard, gay. And he liked to dress kind of natty urban with the tight trousers and the tight little shirt with a little cardigan on, a very tight cardigan on. And he also bleached his skin, and when you bleach your skin you don't want to go in the sun, so he wore a headscarf in the manner of Her Majesty's Queen, with it sort of knotted under his chin.
But a bandana style headscarf, yeah.
Yeah, the bandana one, yeah, with a little knot under his chin. And all of the scammers looked like, not all of them, but many of them copied that style.
They looked up to him in some way. Then.
Yeah, they looked so camp. Brilliant. Without realising
It's like
it at all.
normcore, that look.
I'm sure probably we do many things which... Does
No,
Guy
we
have
do quite a lot of things that are quite camp, but you know.
Does Guy have any idea?